Can y'all hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me. There's a few all on here tonight. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Okay. I was wondering, y'all were taking too long to respond back. I was like, damn, are they hearing me?
Oh, then I got a little bit of
What's
echo
going
to it.
on? What's going on? What the heck is going on? This is girl Isis Wisdom on Isis Wisdom Live podcast. Now you know it's about to be some shit tonight. Cause tonight I got a special guest that goes by the name of Esoteric Truth. And I'm going to be interviewing and discussing with him about the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar rap battle and what it actually means for the collective. And this is gonna be a breakdown on some next level type stuff. Y'all might not be ready to hear this, okay? And I got my 3 cents worth. I'm gonna add into it too in terms of my perception of what I was seeing. And I talked about this on the live early on Instagram. So for those of you that are actually new to my channel, I'm gonna say peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. I'm glad to see you here. I'm glad that you guys are here. Also, one more thing I want to say. On May 25th, I am doing the abundance blockage clearing. Ooh, these folk out here loud, honey. Hold on for a minute. You know, Mexico, they love to celebrate, honey. They stay celebrating. They just like us. We stay celebrating and booming our systems. And they do the same thing down here. It's like that everywhere you go. Okay. So I'm doing what you call the abundance blockage clearing. And it's really, really dope. I'm doing it on May 25th on isiswisdom.com. I want you guys to go there, sign up. You can go ahead and put a request to join via the app, and I'll approve you. You'll go to the events section of the website to actually sign up and register to be a part of this clearing. This is a group clearing. It's a 1 hour session. It's a very deep, deep clearing, all in your ancestral bloodline and everything in terms of where your abundance blockages are. So I want you guys to make sure you sign up for that because this thing is going to be retarded. And I already got a lot of people signing up for this thing. Okay, so make sure you log on to my website, isiswisdom.com. All right, now what y'all been waiting for. And let's see, you got extra glue for the win tonight, moderately laced. Paul Cartier is in the building. Peace and blessings, Paul. Peace and blessings. So I got somebody up in here that's actually gonna be moderating for me. Okay. So, esoteric truth.
Yes.
Now, we've been keeping tabs on this battle between the great Kendrick Lamar and Drake. And we watched this thing play out since the first song dropped. Okay, this for those of y'all that don't remember, this all started off with Future and Metro Boomin. And I think the song was called "We Don't Trust You." And then I think Drake responded, and so then Metro Boomin called Kendrick and got Kendrick on it. And then after he got Kendrick on it, and Kendrick called out J. Cole, then J. Cole got in it. Then J. Cole had a conversation with Ab Soul, and then J. Cole sat down, and then it became a focus between literally Kendrick versus Drake. Now everybody was hyped up. I was on Academics YouTube, just like all the rest of y'all were. I know y'all was on his YouTube channel because Academics does keep up to date with all the latest things that are going on in hip hop and rap music. Okay, so I was on it. listening to the battles. I told my son about it. I was like, listen, did you hear the battle between such and such? I think you hit me, didn't you? Did you hit me first or did I hit you first?
Yeah, I hit you because remember I said, I hope Kendrick dropped the third response, and I hit you like 5 minutes later, like, oh, actually, this nigga actually dropped something.
Okay, so I hit him on the first for the first battle when it first started. So and he did hit me about that later. So it was like this whole thing where it's going back and forth and whatnot. But as we were watching this whole thing play out, it was kind of crazy because you could see the build up. And see where I come from a different I come from a different era of hip hop. You don't build up a battle. If you're dissing someone, you don't build up a diss. When you're coming at the diss, you're coming to chop the person's whole head off and shut their career down immediately. We ain't got time to be playing little games. So I'm warning you. I'm giving you warning shots and all that. That's the new thing with y'all. That's not the era that I come from. We're coming from the jugular. That's what the diss is really about. So for those of you who don't know, well, why are they going at each other? Why are they arguing? Why are they this, that? Why are they trying to tear each other down? It's a diss. It's a battle. If y'all don't know anything about the battle, I suggest you just Google rap battles and watch those rap battles and see how they go. It can get really crazy in a battle. Okay? So we both assessed our own point of views about what we saw about this thing. But I really like Esoteric Truth's take on it, so I'm going to go ahead and give him the floor to talk about exactly what it actually is that we're actually looking at with this particular battle and what this actual energy, what this energy is. Okay, so Esoteric Truth, in your opinion, would you care to break down to my audience exactly, in your opinion, what this energy is that's playing out right now in the age of Aquarius in hip hop between Kendrick and Drake?
Okay. There's an echo, so you got to mute.
Okay, hold on.
Can y'all no echo? All right. So essentially, the first start of this energy is basically they're are obviously in a way working together. They represent two different factions, but this like the start of this was to get everyone's attention, just to reel everyone into this energy. Now, there's two different things going on. One is it's like one faction is talking about the things that's going on behind the scene in the industry, and then one is like trying to throw that under there like that doesn't even matter. Drake represents the Draconians, and Kendrick represents the fallen Anu Elohim. That's the factions that they're actually represented. And if you listen to actual Kendrick's music, especially if you go back as far as DNA, when he talks about their DNA being abomination and he's talking about the royalty in his DNA and he's talking about his lineages, he basically told y'all what his bloodline is and what he represents. And then even in his recent song, his most recent song, his two recent songs, the 616, when he talks about three angels watching me every time I pray to the fallen sky or some shit. Oh no, I raise my hand to the fallen sky. And then he mentioned Elohim. He mentioned Elohim again, the rebirth. He also talked about this in his song Family Time. Now, I was going to mention something. The titles of these songs, although it's like in an entertainment, it's on one level it means this, but on another level, it actually is talking about the bloodline connection. So on Family Times, when he was on Baby King, I know that was like also like just an entertainment song, but also when he started talking about his actual agenda, he talks about the Elohim being rebirth, and he talks about his actual agenda on the song. Same thing with Drake. Draconians. What do? They do a lot of trafficking. What did Kendrick talk about these rappers doing behind the scene? Policing this. Kendrick and Drake got some shit going on, but Drake specifically, he is in with that. He's into that business. He's wrapped in behind the scenes with that. So right now there's an exposure going on right now.
Okay, I was gonna say, wow, Kendrick exposed that. when he put Drake's address into the P word app, because I don't want to say the word because I don't want to get flagged by YouTube. And basically, when he put the address in this particular app, it showed all of the offenders, if you will, that were popping up with little red flags over his house, and there was quite a few of them. So that's crazy. The way this thing is really playing out, the way it's playing out, is crazy. So Kendrick came out and he exposed all of that, and basically he let it be known, this is what you're on. Now you want to add to that?
It's glitching. I missed the last part you said.
I muted. I was just saying that it's crazy, but I'm going to go ahead and mute it. I said, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, and if we actually look at let me actually pull up the date of Euphoria, because if you notice the song names and actual energy is actually being represented in the song names too. The act, like when he talks about Euphoria, has everyone noticed that this battle brought a lot of euphoria too as well, like a lot of happiness too?
It did, though. We were excited.
Family Matters. Um, Even though he didn't really go into too much of Family Matters, but this actual titles and the actual coding that they're trying to put in. These different song titles and these different names is alluding to the different energy. So even not like us, he's talking about he's going back to the bloodline. They're not like us. It's a different type of bloodline. So
Boom.
so Kendrick is exposing all the rappers that are doing this behind the scenes, are policing the sex trafficking, are doing the harvesting.
Make sure
And the
you
way
say S trafficking. Make sure you say S trafficking. Can't say the word, that other word. Just say S trafficking or just say trafficking. Okay?
yeah, they're doing a lot of behind the scenes trafficking.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly allegedly they're doing a lot of trafficking behind the scenes. And then if you also pay attention to the most recent response, of Drake's most recent response, you could tell by the tone of his voice and then by his replies that it was just like the summary of the song is like, nah, I didn't do that shit. I'm too famous for it. That's kind of like trying to reverse all the things that he's being exposed for. And then Kendrick basically said in the beginning, he's like, I'm neutralizing all these superpowers. I'm neutralizing all the hype, all the things surrounding you. And this just doesn't extend to just Drake. That extends to all the people that Drake connects to and is connected to. And we're about to get into that We're about to get into that.
Now, one of the things, go ahead and mute out. One of the things that I would like to say too is that we're talking about, you guys are also watching a war that has been going on between the Draconians and the Annunaki, or the Anu Elohim. We're talking about a battle or a war that's been going on for millennia. So this isn't anything new. It may be new to some of y'all, but this has been going on for a very long time in the cosmos as well as here on this planet. And the issues have always been both of them are vying for positions of power. Both groups also have what you call hierarchy systems. Both of them also they represent the nine ether. They represent ether, really, really on that type time. Okay, and so I just wanted to point that out so you guys have a clear understanding that this is something that you're seeing playing out amongst these particular beings right in front of your face, so you know not to be caught up in it. Oops. Okay, esoteric truth. Let's go ahead and get into it about what you said you wanted to talk about.
Okay, so where do we start? Okay, so with Kendrick, another thing I wanted to mention, he also mentions in many of his songs, and especially when he talks about family ties, he also talks about it in 616, if I'm not mistaken, the 616 in LA, he talks about, I only answered to Gabriel and Metatron. I answered, I'm the prophet of this, I am this. And then he says, after he says that, he literally talks about killing niggas, literally the authoritarian style, the same style of government that these particular beings do. He's still in that space. So when he's like, okay, I answered to Metatron, those are the orders and collectives that he represents. So we're gonna get into Metatron because Metatron's history is very ties into this heavily. So Metatron is a name of a collective. Now, Metatron is a collective family that was one of the collectives that helped create a lot of races and a lot of things in the time matrix. One of the ascended masters, an entity actually. Now, entity is above an ascended master. It's like the second level of ascended masters. You got ascended masters, which is basically a collective consciousness of a being that these particular ascended masters, they are not in any type of dimensional identification. So on that level, the concepts that go beyond that is beyond dimensional tyranny. Now, he was one of the ones that helped seeded a lot of things. Now, the actual matrix, when you send a piece of your consciousness into so you have your higher self, your ascended master self, which also exists outside of the time matrices, the actual matrix itself. And you got yourself that you actually project bodies into the matrix. If there is more of your lower self in the matrix, aka representing that energy in that energy, resonating with that energy, then that energy your lower self has the ability to pull your higher self and vice versa. So just on an example, if you're doing digressive shit in your life right now, that affects your higher self because though your higher self and your lower self are directly connected. So whatever lower thoughts you're feeling and you're saying, that your higher self is picking it up. And then because y'all both connected, your higher self starts to take on traits because it's a push and pull. They're both connected, and vice versa. Higher self does things, then it does things to you because you're connected in that way. What happened with Metatron is the group the Giovanni Collective, sent a piece of his consciousness to the Matrix, but it got stuck. It failed. It literally got stuck and fell and digressive. And literally they literally got into cove convolution. It's basically like they wanted to take over the time matrix. Now this particular event happened with the fallen Anu Elohim and the actual Adetacron Draconians. Those particular those particular set of groups, they didn't want to do the normal progression of ascension. They wanted to take over all the different races and basically create their own type of matrix without actually being connected to the natural frequency. And so how they figured it out is Source can create with the natural frequency, natural mathematics. They figured out how to reverse those mathematics to basically create an artificial frequency that bends the light and sound into a form that is a siphoning. It like pulls energy. Instead of harmonizing with the energy, you're now pulling. So it's like basically parasite energy. And so that them doing what you're gonna say, my bad.
I had said when I put up my premonition that I felt that there was going to be some type of sacrifice that was going to take place, which we'll get into that later. I talked about the energy buildup behind that. And it seemed like because of the way this was going, it just seemed like it was a buildup that was taking place behind this. So would you say that that buildup that they were siphoning at that point, and I felt that, I said they're siphoning the energy. I felt like they were siphoning the energy of the people that were really hyping the thing up. That's what it felt like to me. I could feel that.
Yep. They're even like the siphoning is literally like in the song, but it's like they're even telling you in the song titles and even in the bars what they're doing and what this is for. Like when you said the sacrifice, Kendrick mentioned in the song, you better be careful in Oakland because that could be your last show. And I know rappers do say that shit all the time, but when you're on that type of level, there's certain subliminals that you're setting out there. and that was a subliminal. And then this whole thing with the Drake security guard, that was just literally it's literally the build up to that. They're literally building up the getting you comfortable with these artists are actually gonna kill each other, and it's gonna. I have a feeling that one of these artists is gonna be a sacrifice. More so, I feel like.
We're not gonna say who. We're not gonna say who.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave that alone. Um, but I would have to concur with you on that, and I would have to agree because that's one of the things I talked about in the premonition that I received as well. But I picked this up 7 months ago that there was going to be another artist, another big artist that was going to leave from here. I didn't know how that was going to happen, but I did pick up that was going to be somebody big that was going to leave from here. Um, and that's something that we've been down this road before with the Tupac and Biggie issue going on. We've been down this road before, but I think that the difference between that time period and this time period is that the awareness levels that we're on right now, where we can actually take the time out and read the energies and see exactly who's doing what, who's who and who's doing what and what's really playing out. So we're seeing it on a whole different level than how we've ever seen it before. And this stuff's been playing out in front of our faces for quite some time. We just didn't know what we were looking at. Someone said fix my volume. My volume okay? They're saying they can't hear me.
It does sound like it doesn't even turn up like
Can you hear me?
slightly.
It does sound like it doesn't even turn up like slightly. Let me see. My volume's all the way up. My volume's all the way up. Okay, someone's saying there's nothing wrong with the volume. Okay, so for those of you that are having a problem hearing me, log out and come back in. Log out and come back in.
You
Log out and come back in. I seen someone pass too last year. Very shocking to mostly everyone. It's low, but I hear you. Okay, someone's saying it's good now, so I'm just gonna run with it because they're saying it's good now. Okay. Um, I find it to be very interesting, though, that there's other key players that seem there's an energy going on, and I'm gonna just bring this out. Number one, when that solar eclipse took place, that was the black sun that eclipsed that sun. But even deeper than that, what a lot of people are not aware of is the type of dark energy that's been released upon the planet with this particular alignment. And so now you also have this particular type of dark energy where you have beings that are coming that came out from this eclipse that were the malevolent side of the Palladians, the malevolent Palladians, in combination with the grays, and now you have what you call a hybrid species. This hybrid species, and some of you guys may have seen this on video, some of you guys may have seen this in your visions or your dreams, but this particular species is very nefarious. And not only that, they look red in nature. So some of you guys may have seen these beings already, these red looking beings. These particular beings is what came through the solar eclipse, and these particular beings is what has been taken over a lot of people who went out into that solar eclipse who were not healed or actively healing. If you have wounds and things like that that are open, if you are not actively healing and you went out into that eclipse, there is an effect that's taking place amongst the people where it's bringing out their shadow in its totality. These beings also have been interrupting spiritual communication, where the person thinks that they're talking to whoever they think they're talking to, and they were never talking to who they thought they were talking to. They were actually talking to this being. This being also has the ability for those that are channeled. They have the ability also to give you extra gifts that you didn't even know you had, or they'll enhance the gifts that you currently have at this time. But you're not speaking to who you think you're speaking to. Okay? You may even find yourself not even seeking out to communicate to your guides and the things that you're used to speaking to. You may notice that. Okay? So I want to put that out there that the type of energy that is placed upon the planet, and this energy is also looking and searching to kill, quote unquote, the sons. Okay? So now we're going to come up and we're going to speed it up to me putting out that premonition. I want to say yesterday or last night, I think it was, to today. We're getting a hit that the bodyguard got shot on Drake's estate. Now, one of the things I want to say to you is that I did look into that situation. This was not a staged situation. I actually thought that it was, but it's not. This is actually a very serious situation that is playing out right now in front of everybody's eyes. This is not a staged situation. This is very real. At the same time, this has gotten very serious. Okay? And this has gotten very, very serious because now you have people stepping into the picture to take on things that really have nothing to do with them, but there are subliminal calls that are being made out through the music. Those individuals that are responding are the soldiers of those individuals. Okay? They may not even realize that they're the soldiers of the individuals. Okay? You got to understand this from an aspect perspective. So let's say it's not like Kendrick get on the phone. He's calling people, telling people go do this, that, and the third. That's not what's happening. But you got to take in consideration when you're looking at it from an aspect perspective. A person's aspect could be an Annunaki or an Anu or an Elohim. That particular aspect could be one of the soldiers under that particular individual or that person's particular aspect. And so they're putting stuff out on a subliminal level, but really what it is, they're putting a call out. So now their soldiers, depending on where they are now responding to that call. And now this is what's happening. The shit goes deep. So I want you guys to understand exactly what it is that you're looking at. Remember, as I've taught you many, many times, for those of you that have been on my lives many, many times, I talk about the aspects and that we all have aspects because we all have different incarnated versions of ourselves. Okay? Some of us are Anunnaki. Some of us may have reptilian aspects. Some of us may have angelic aspects. Some of us may have different ET aspects. Some of us are going to have God aspects. Whatever it is that he's putting out there, and depending on what his ranking is, those particular aspects and the vessels that they're controlling is going to respond. Okay? So this is some other next level deep stuff that we're talking about here. So I want you guys just to have an understanding about that and how that works. Now I'm gonna turn it back over to Esoteric Truth. Okay, Esoteric Truth, you have it.
I'm trying to. Where did I leave off on the Metatron situation?
All right, one of the things I also want to say is that Metatron was also known to be Sandalphon, the archangel Sandalphon's twin brother. Metatron is also known to be an angel, but he's also known to be a fallen angel, but also known to also be a group or their own collective or their own group of beings, as Esoteric Truth was speaking about. But I'm gonna let you take over from here. You got it.
I was speaking. I was muted. So there was a particular issue after being in that lower space for so long too. That collective consciousness, called Giovanni, literally tried to basically try to pull its higher self into those digressive basically cycles, and so it got to a point where, and this is one of the viruses that was also here, blame, and it started blaming other ascended master collectives, other collectives for its fault. Like, oh, this is all your fault. And it got to a point to where they tried to do like a rehabilitation to bring that. Basically, the frequency was at a detail and a D12, which is dimension 12, and even higher. Now, dimension 12 is the 12. When you talk about the Trinity energy, you talk about Christ, the Christ body energy. The Christ energy is the 12, dimension 12. Now, even higher than that is the primordial fields. Now, the primordial fields, that version of itself is disconnected and can't hold that frequency. So it had to go through a rehabilitation, which is like a healing, a form of healing, so it can hold that frequency. And so there was two particular technologies that was developed Then one of them got reversed. Now, the Eye of Brahman is also a form of grid technology too. This particular technology, the Eye of Brahman, was a frequency anchoring system, and its sequence basically anchored in the primordial currents, so it can bring that version of itself back to the collective, back to that higher collective. So that frequency got blocked. Got blocked at D11. They blocked the D12 frequencies. They locked themselves into the D11 frequencies. They developed a technology called they call it the Eye of Yahweh, but it's also called Eye of Metatron, which is basically, it's a reverse artificial frequency of, it's a reverse frequency of the D dimension 12 current. It's a reverse version of that. And so what that actually does is it creates an electrostatic body. And so what it does is it basically traps the energy into a cycle, and it keeps, like, basically, like, imagine an energy circle, and all the energy is trying to flow, but it keeps getting stuck. Now it bounces back in, bounces back in. That created an implosion, which created one of the first black hole systems. That black hole system is a thing that is polling that you can. That black hole system was reprogrammed in a way where it can be used as a siphoning, so it can siphon its natural system. So the Eye of Metatron was basically like a siphoning technology. And this siphoning technology, you can basically live without doing the normal essentials. It's basically parasitic. So what happens if you're not connected to the source, because they disconnected themselves from their natural source, which is the primordial currents? They'll eventually literally implode into space dust, because they're not like holding that frequency. Eventually becomes stagnant, and eventually it implodes on itself. To counter that, they created that siphoning device I just talked about. That is a way for them to feed on the natural life currents without actually being connected to it. So as long as they can basically feed off of other living energies, which just sounds very familiar to a system that we're in right now, where we have to feed off other life form energies in order to sustain ourselves, because we're not in our full sustainable selves. It's the actual system that was also injected onto the grid system of this planet called API systems. Now, this is very important when it comes to the actual music, because the music is a frequency. The frequency is connected to a server. These servers is connected to these collectives, these two different collectives, aka the Draconians and the fallen Anu Elohim. These two different frequencies is the black hole phantom matrix that they're trying to bring people in. If you notice after eclipse, now the people that were doing their actively healing, a lot of things came up for releasing, of course, but a lot of people that didn't do their healing and held on to those digressive states of mind that they're holding on to, it amplified for them. It got worse because it's the actual frequency itself. Yes, with the CERN too. CERN was also a part of those systems as well. And so we tried numerous amounts of time to do a rehabilitation, and some of it worked. Some of it worked with the weak Hizadek system. We tried to help them and their collective time matrix, because there's a lot of time matrices that fell into this very similar story and this very similar black hole system, where we tried to heal that fragment. Because when a black hole actually happens, it's basically your template being shattered. Your template, your actual DNA sequence is shattered, and it's like a crystal being shattered. All those natural frequencies is now reversed, and it tries to come back together. And when it comes back together, it becomes back in a reverse sequence. So it's like it's discombobulated from its natural self. So a lot of those mindsets, a lot of those ways came from the shattering of the actual template itself, which also plays in effect in those grid systems, because their music is they connect to the API system. They also connect to the grid system, and what that does is it connects to your own body grid, because everyone is connected to this grid. If you're on this planet, you're connected to this grid in some way. They're just like, what grid are you connected to and what server?
Thank you very much for coming on board and really taking the time out to break that down. Now, here's something I find to be very interesting that you're speaking about this, because as you were speaking, I'm looking at some of the responses that you were getting from some of the people in the chat. And instead of them just taking the time out to just be open to listen to what's being said, because you don't have to agree to what's being said. But it was, I noticed there's a certain type of programming that these individuals are running with. It's like they're not able to expand their consciousness because the things you're talking about now is moving now beyond the ninth dimension. And I'm noticing that they're in direct opposition to that. And I've been seeing a lot of that take place within the community, the conscious community, a good bit, where when you challenge or you just simply bring out new information that's never been heard of before, and you're not even trying to go out your way to challenge anyone. You're not really doing that. You're just simply sharing information about what's coming to you from going inward and your understanding of things. But what I'm noticing is the direct opposition that we're getting, but also recognize what that is too, as well as the aspects. Because a lot of you guys don't realize you're also telling on yourselves as well, just by how you're responding to things, whether or not you guys realize this or not. Because the aspect will act up if you're exposing certain things about it, or you're exposing things about the comments in the chats. You'll start to notice systematically. You'll start seeing more and more come in that are basically saying the same exact things. You don't ever see the conversation evolve past what they're trying to convey. So that's something else I want you to pay close attention to. My bad, Esoteric Truth. You can go ahead and go.
Now, the reason why they even gotten into that state of mind, they took the free will concept and turned it into a whole authoritarian thing. Because the free will they wanted to create, these are creator gods. So that, these are, and I'm talking about not on like a lower dimension. I'm talking about creators of concepts itself. These particular collectives are creators of actual concepts. That means concepts that we use in our actual dimensions, like the concepts of talking, just certain concepts that make a reality work. These beings are creators of those concepts, and we are also part of those. So it's not separate from us. Just let y'all know. They took that free will and they turned it into something. They was like, okay, now we're going to take over. We're going to take over all the time matrices, and we're going to rewrite. We're going to rewrite, and we're going to be the only race. The Anu Elohim and the Draconian, the Draconians and the Adedocron. Now the Draconian Omicron, they're commissioned to Stargate 10, and the Elohim is at Stargate 11. Now, when it goes up in frequency, like the Anu Elohim, they dominate anything lower in their coding. So they literally bullied the Draconians for a long time. This literally goes into the thing you're seeing now. What's Kendrick doing? He bullying this nigga.
Yeah, Kendrick's definitely bullying him, and that's also been a thing that's been discussed too amongst the people when I was watching academics live, and I literally saw the comments where they said, "Yo, Kendrick's just bullying this dude right now. He's just bullying his ass." You know what I'm saying? So yes, that's true. That's crazy the way that's playing out. That's crazy the way that's playing out. Go ahead. They loving this information. They loving this information. They eating it up.
So yeah, literally they literally I don't know he bullied the literally bullied the Draconians and the Reptilians to the point to where those actual Draconians actually evolved. They actually evolved into like archons and different types of species, and then they started to try to basically take over the D11 frequency, and some of them were successful, but a lot of them basically had to join the resistance. And so a lot of them now, when I'm talking about the different orders and actually what they represent, the Anu Elohim, they represent the Ruby Order, which is basically like these are basically like the DNA template of the sun. So like these different species represent also different energies in the sun. So like the for example for like Andromedans, they represent a lot of the diamond sun DNA in terms of like dimension 12 strands that have 24 to they even have higher strands than that. But this talks about strands of DNA. Now, when you talk about these different orders, they have certain strands of their DNA for for the animal, they have 11 strands of the DNA. So for the reptilians and the Draconians, they have 10 strands. They have an actual 10-strand potential in their DNA. Now they can go higher than that, but they cap themselves off due to the disconnections of what I just talked about when they actually created the black hole system. Now, this black hole system that they're part of is not the first one, and that's like a whole different story for another time. But this particular black hole system that they're utilizing is basically like the Phantom Matrix. If you think of if you know of you've seen Supergirl and you've seen the Phantom World in that place, if you also seen DC Comics when Superman goes to Apocalypse, that's literally what the worlds look like, or hell, what they call hell. Or if you know about Power Rangers and the realm their villains come from, they always talk about this dark realm where they only have if you notice in the Power Rangers, with the Power Rangers, the planetary guardians, the beings that come out of there, the Annunaki reptilians, and they only have a short period of time because they have to go back to their phantom matrix because they can't anchor in themselves all the way here. They have to, in order for them to do that. If you notice in the Power Rangers series, they're always trying to siphon energy, especially in the Samurai. They were like, we have to siphon the energies from the fear of the people so we can anchor ourselves in. This is Power Rangers, fam. This is even in Power Rangers. So this whole situation is a giant energy harvesting, but it's also an exposure for the real things that's going on in the industry, and it's also revealing the different basically bloodlines. And so, like I said, Kendrick, Elohim, Drake, Draconians, two different agendas, and it's literally playing out like the same thing. The Elohim is dominating, and Drake is literally representing the Draconians. They're getting tucked up. As for a long time too, that the Elohim kind of dominated beings that were lower in coding. So a lot of beings that did not have a lot of them resisted, of course, but some of them they couldn't. They just got destroyed and wiped out. Like they fought with all they could, but they basically got destroyed because they're not part of that coding.
And would you say that these are the same beings right now? I heard Bidell, he speaks about them, but he calls them the black nobility. These particular individuals. It's my understanding that's what they are from my understanding, my teachings, when I started really studying what they were. I started studying about how powerful they were when they was on this planet a long, long time ago. And then at the same time, there were some things that took place that also caused our sun to go to do a solar flash to wipe everything out for everybody to lose their memories and things like that. And now
Yep.
we're just now starting to come online and we're starting to remember a lot of our stuff again because it completely erased and wiped our memories out completely. And it looks like the direction that everything is going right now, it's looking like this is about to happen again with our sun, where it's about to do the same thing again. Now you have some people that are saying that when the sun actually flashes, it's going to restore everybody's memories and everything back at once. And you have others that think that it's going to wipe everything out again. What is your take on that?
So my take on what originally happened, or just like in general, what's going on with that?
What's happening now? What we're building up to now?
Okay, so in terms of what they're building onto now, they're literally and this goes along with them using more AI. They're literally about to introduce a new type of system, and it's not even a new system. It's just connected to their Phantom Matrix, and that's what they're building upon right now. This is basically control for the Stargates, control for the grid system, control for the attention, because they lost a large amount of energy. This is why this whole beef is even starting to, because they lost a whole lot of energy lately because of the work.
Your Wi-Fi.
The work.
The Wi-Fi is messing up.
All right. Yeah, it's jumping up and down.
You need to get to a more stable place for your Wi-Fi.
It's not even just the Wi-Fi. It's the grid fucking up the Wi-Fi too. Remember, the grid is in here next to the Wi-Fi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you're still going in and out.
Are you sure you didn't accidentally switch to that other internet?
No, my stuff is good. I'm very clear over here on my side. That's come on here and talk to you guys just for a little bit, so he can get himself back stabilized again with his connection. Looks like he's trying to do something. You guys can hear him okay? All right, they're saying they can hear you okay. They're saying they can hear you.
All right. Okay, where did I leave off? Where did I leave off?
We were talking about the solar.
Oh yeah. So they've been introduced. They jumped out. Y'all can still hear me, right? Because I see you jumping now. Y'all can hear? All right. I'll say y'all can hear me? Okay. So the solar flash, now I kind of want to bring up like what happened back then real quick. So it kind of leads on to what's going on now too. Because they're already like the first solar flash in terms of like the memory writing. That was also an event called the Tower of Babel, where they ran. This is when they started getting control of the stargates, and they ran a reverse frequency off planet on Nibiru through the dimension 12, through all the stargates, and it created an explosion. But also, before that implosion happened, they ran an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. This electromagnetic pulse, the way it actually happened, it disconnected us from the 12, which is when you get to the 12, like when you actually feel that 12 dimensional energy, that's that energy when you're like, I'm connected to everything and we are all one. Like that, and that actual dimension itself, that frequency and that energy literally right there. So it's like when you get disconnected from that forming yourself, you literally, it's like you still go digressive because you're not connected to that version of yourself that has the empathy that's connected to the collective consciousness. And so when they ran that reverse frequency and they ran the EMP pulse, we forgot all our memories. It's like, okay, can't remember shit. That's when they came in and they started re-educating us. This is literally what they're coming in right now with the same shit. A giant flash, aka a giant diverting attention, and now they install a program, aka these neural links, these new ways of going about things. A lot of people want to get connected to those servers, and a lot of people are actually already connected to those servers based upon the energy that they're vibrating in and the things that they consume. And this extends to the actual music itself. You guys don't hear me? It's glitching.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me mute.
Can y'all hear him? Can y'all hear him? Let me know if you can hear Truth okay. Okay, someone's saying keep going. They can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, I can hear you. So when it comes to actual the planetary grid system, because it's also another layer of this too, there is various different levels that people are connected to on the grid system. Now, most people are connected to the 1, 2, and third dimensional sets of the actual grid system. Other people are connected to the higher sets of the grid system. Now, this grid system is the actual, like literally the circuitry, the earth circuitry, its actual server. Based upon the energy that you vibrate in, is the actual server and grid system that you can get connected to. Also, what is in your field too, because when you're connected to these APNI systems, and basically what it is, it's a crystalline microchips. They're basically like nanobots on the grid system, and they're programmed to specific ways to limit. It's kind of like their OR node inhibitors. They limit and inhibit the amount of energy that flows in between these circuits. So what that does on a spiritual level is it limits you, it puts you in a certain set of frequency. When we expand past that field and we get rid of those implants, we get rid of those things that is in our field, and we get past that, we connect to the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional sets of the grid system here, which is called Tara, which a lot of people are actually in the field of Tara, the Tara system. Now, particularly, they're running completely opposite of the actual transition, because during this whole beat, I noticed there was a massive like collective shift. Like we were collectively shifted, and they needed a giant event to capitalize off the energy so they could reverse the frequency. And when they reverse the frequency, they install things called holographic inserts. A holographic insert is basically a holographic projection of a reality that is inserted into your biofield to create a reality. So these the way the music's called, like you may hear it as like, okay, it's just him talking about Kendrick. These lyricists, they of course Drake has the ghostwriters. These lyricists they're magicians, they're warlocks. When they speak, things is coded on multiple different levels and multiple different dimensions. So on a 3D level, you may be, okay, this is this, but on this level, it's doing this to your actual field. So that's like what's going on right now between them two.
So you're saying that as everybody or the collective, so to speak, or just everybody's taking the time out to listen to this back and forth that's taking place, you're saying that on this level, on some level, okay, we're just getting caught up in the music and the lyrics about what's being said. But when you start dealing with it on a higher dimensional level, this is really what's happening with the lyricism that's going back and forth between the two, is that they're passing codes. And these particular codes are actually doing something to the listeners.
Hmm.
Okay, would you care to elaborate what it's doing to the listeners?
Okay, so explain. Let's like start off like the Kendrick Euphoria. Listening to Euphoria, because we haven't heard Kendrick in a minute spit something like that. The actual song title and a lot of the things that the song was implying was actually like that was, in a way, it was a good frequency. There were some good things about it, but a lot of like they're like there's like literally establishing. Okay, they established a lot of euphoria with the family matters. They established the connection between the family and the actual matters between that. And then when they talk about meet the grams, it's when they get into the bloodline connections. Now, if you notice when you got into the meet the grams, if you notice, like even when you watch like reactions and even some of y'all reacting, have y'all noticed like the silence? Like it's like I noticed a lot of reactors said I felt like something was going on with me listening to this, or it was pointing out like a lot of people got stopped in their tracks. And a lot of people was actually in the energy that he's talking about.
Wow. Wow.
When you get into not like us, you're getting into more bloodline connections and how why. And this is division, of course, but it's why these particular beings ain't like you. But that's obviously division.
One lady, Tanisha Lamisha, says it felt very personal for real. That is very, 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 very interesting.
Yeah, it literally
Someone
was
said it was
directly.
dark and I didn't like. Some Ninth Cloud said it was dark and I didn't like listening to it. What song are you talking about? I muted it. We gotta kind of mute it back and forth so they don't hear the feedback. Yeah, I know. One of us is muted. Go ahead, Noah. I'm gonna mute myself out.
You were just saying some thing. You were literally just saying something.
I know. I forgot what I was gonna say.
I literally
They're
did
saying.
too. I literally stopped so I could listen to what you were saying, and I forgot what I was gonna say. That's funny. Um, we were talking about what
Okay, I
can you
remember.
explain on a deeper level what's doing? Okay, when you're hearing these drums, when you're hearing these drums, these frequencies, the like okay, for example, when Drake's like drop, your energy actually does the effect that these words that they're projecting out, whether you realize this or not. So even though the lyrics is targeted towards Kendrick or appears to be targeted towards Kendrick, because you're absorbing that frequency, you're directly taking on that energy. So like how people said, this shit felt personal. There's also directly talking to you, and so now there's certain attributes about the Meet the Grand specifically that I really like in terms of them talking about really talking about deadbeat fathers and really needing to get on their shit and be a real divine masculine. So I really enjoyed those parts of the song, but there are certain things that like even the drums, the actual drums, if you listen to the actual drums and you actually look at the hertz that they're using, it's like this frequency is very low and dark like y'all said. Like literally casting illusion spell.
Now, the vessel itself isn't consciously aware of what it's doing. This is more so the aspect that's pretty much waving these spells over the people, correct?
You said it again?
The vessel itself that's housing the aspects. It's not so much that Kendrick is Kendrick fully aware of what he's doing, or is this more so like the aspect of that Elohim that he speaks about coming through
Both.
him, and then okay, all right.
Because the thing about this, and another thing that's also that I want to point out is these things that he knew about Drake for years, if he is the Black Messiah, you from the world, or helping our people, how come he hasn't spoke about any of these things in terms of Drake and these other things? It's like all of a sudden now y'all want to beef and shit when y'all know y'all each other's legions and y'all each other's orders and stuff behind closed doors.
So then, essentially, what you're saying is that the rap beef is orchestrated
I believe it's
on
orchestrated.
more on a subliminal level. Because remember, it's getting kind of crazy out here now. People are out here
Yeah.
getting shot. Yeah. So that's very real. So I'm asking you: are you saying that this thing is being orchestrated by, like, let's say, the higher forces that they answer to, so to speak?
Yes, too, and then also like someone in the comments also brought it up too, light skin versus dark. That's another part of the coding that they're also hitting because that's what it also started. A lot of light skin niggas like Drake, you gotta win this battle for me. I'm like, nigga, that has nothing to do with you. He's not even a representation of a light skin nigga. He's not. He's a Canadian nigga. If anything, he's representing the Canadians, and then that's not even an accurate representation. I'm not even gonna do the Canadians like that. But literally they're doing different things. Light skin, they're bringing the whole light skin versus dark skin thing again. When they had the little Eminem thing, they had the whole white boy versus black people thing again. Literally the same. It's the same thing, but in a different form.
Now, someone pointed out six God versus nine God, because Drake always calls himself the sixth God, and Kendrick represents the nine ether. This is very interesting the way they're breaking it down, the way they're seeing.
Yep.
I wouldn't count Chris Brown versus Quavo though. I don't know about that if I would count that or not. I'm not sure. I don't know if I would count
I feel
that.
like the Chris Brown and the Quavo thing was an attempt of this energy as well. It
Now
just
I
didn't
will
go
let
on
you
that
guys.
level.
Now I will let you guys know there's going to be more beats and dissing coming out from other artists. So expect to see and hear about that. So there's going to be other artists that's going to come out and they're going to start doing the same thing. So you're going to see other battles coming back and forth. So they're going to utilize this energy and they're going to work it through different artists and whatnot. So just pay attention. Okay. You can speak esoteric truth.
Okay, so I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Give me a second.
I mentioned about there. I'm going to remind you what I said. I talked about there was going to be more battles that's going to take place in the hip hop community. And I like the fact that you were exposing the fact that there's also spells and things like that that are being woven amongst those who are currently listening. Here's the question I do want to ask you. I already know the answer to this, but I just want you to answer the question. What can a person do to prevent themselves from being affected by this energy?
Okay, so the first thing is, like, 'cause I like me some hip hop too. So you can enjoy it, but the thing about this frequency is there's a filtering process that has to go on. Just like when you clean your food and you digest anything or consume anything, there's a filtering process for your body, aka a way that you clean off the energy so you can digest it. Now, I don't really like regularly listen to it, but if you do want to just tune in and listen to some Drakes and Kendrick and shit, set up a frequency fence. Set up some type of frequency fence where you can set like you could visualize basically that when you're lit, you could visualize when you're done that frequency that you listen to basically being transmitted because regardless or not, if you know it or not, there's still codes being transferred. So you have to clear that out. So you can still enjoy the music, but understand what frequencies is being transferred. Another thing is what parts of you is resonating with this type of music. If it's like if you know it's some bullshit, like it's some bullshit, and you're still listening to, you're gonna have to find out what parts of yourself. Why am I resonating with this music? If you know it's bullshit, like it's bad music, in terms of like for your spirit and your soul. Why are you listening to it? That you're gonna have to figure out and do the shadow work on why you actually resonate with that energy. Tune, and let's say like, because I take it takes time. Just like I said, create a frequency fence. Um, you could do some you can visualize basically like a whatever energy that your energy is, like a light, white, pure, silverline energy, crystalline energy coming wash you off after you listen to that, or some type of filter that you put over the music that when it comes in, the frequency that's transferred that you actually absorb is not having the same coding that it was trying to transfer before. It comes out in a higher frequency. That's if you really like, I just want to listen to this right now. Because it's like, it takes time, fam.
Here's an interesting comment. Someone said the movie US or Us showed this battle too. I got to go back and watch that again. I got to go back and watch that again because that was one of the movies I think I fell asleep on.
And someone said if they know you have your consent, so if you stop consenting and listening to it, you win. Literally, it's a frequency. If you're consenting to a lower frequency and you open your field up to it, and then you get what comes with the lower field, that's basically your karma for doing that.
I think that they utilize. Well, here's my perception. I think that they utilize the art form of the diss, and then because they're two big rappers, you know what I'm saying, that have huge fan bases. They knew exactly what they were doing in terms of how they were going to orchestrate it. They knew exactly what they were doing. I'm a hip hop head, so I grew up in a different era of hip hop, like I told you guys at the beginning, and so I was just I like the battle. You know what I'm saying? I like the diss. I like the art form of the diss. You know what I'm saying? It's not even so much that I'm actually into the music. You know what I'm saying? Or bringing out facts and exposing certain things because it reminded me of a different time in my life. You know what I'm saying? The music itself wasn't really nothing that really impressed me in that way. Like you're not gonna see me going to the club to rock that or hear that, and you're probably not gonna see me booming it in my truck either. You know what I'm saying? It was just something for that moment where it was really dope just to take a listen to it and just hear these two kind of spar back and forth. It wasn't that deep. Who you capping, fam? Talking about some cap. I felt like I wanted to throw hands for no reason after listening to the disses. Damn, fam. That's
Literally puts you in
hilarious.
warring states of mind.
Now that's
You can start
now
warring
now
with people.
let me ask you this question. This is very interesting that you even brought this up, esoteric truth, because I would say, would you agree that this is also another way for them to install the war programming into the people?
hmm That's directly like music influences you on how you feel in your biofield. So if you're hearing a song that's talking about killing niggas, slapping niggas, and hugging their baby mama, that's the energy that you directly transferred onto you and you absorbed. So literally, they can install whatever they say in the song. They can literally install that, and you could feel like doing it because they made a song about it. Like when Future made the Percocet song. Now everyone wanted to do Percocets. Nobody was thinking about no dang Percocets until he made that song. Now everyone wants to do lean. And then come to find out Future don't even drink lean like that. And you have all these niggas drinking lean and shit and smoking big ass woods like this thick with big ass headaches and shit, all because you heard it in a song. Literally influence your field. So now you feel like that. You also like, oh, I gotta do that. That sounds like something.
Now, I'd like to point some things out then, because I think that there were people in the music industry that understood that, and Michael Jackson said this. Michael Jackson said, music is the only thing that has the ability to affect 100% of the brain. He knew this. So they're installing certain types of arts and certain types of coding in the music. So when they start transitioning the hip hop from being conscious, uplifting our people, when we were talking about love, we were talking about unifying our families, we were talking about ending self destruction, and then they turned around and they brought out Ice Cube and them. That was a an agenda. Now, if you guys get a chance, you might be able to still find this article online. There's an article they put out called "The Meaning That Changed Hip Hop." You guys should really go watch, go look for that, and go read it. You might even be able to find them talking about it on here, where it speaks about a meeting that took place between the corporate labels and the prison industrial complex. And there were individuals that came in that had this private meeting that basically was offering the labels to buy stocks into the private prison system. And basically, what they said was, if you can get artists to put out this type of music, you're guaranteed to have X amount of beds filled up, and we're guaranteed to make X amount of dollars, and then you're going to get a kickback of this amount of money because, or you can own these stocks, and you're going to get back X amount of dollars. Now, there were several people. I say probably half the people in the room got up and walked out because they wasn't with it. Okay, but then there was the other half that actually stayed to listen to what the people had to say, and those individuals are the ones that are running your music companies right now, allegedly. Okay, and so they've been operating under this deal for quite some time. And then who do you see making up the prison system? The majority of the people that are making up the prison system is us, because we're the ones that's most affected by this particular type of coding.
Hmm.
So anybody putting music out there, that's what we call reverse coding, where you're putting out music that's at 528 hertz or 428 or what have you, the heart space energy music. When you have artists out there that are putting out that type of music, they're not going to allow those artists to come out there on mainstream unless they have a way to be able to encode the music to still influence the masses to separate from their higher self in some kind of way. So I want you guys to understand the agenda behind this. This has been going on for quite some time. So I believe that article was put out um, probably around the time that Ice Cube and them either came out or just before Ice Cube and them came out. Okay, and they were actually the poster boys to bring in and usher in with gangster rap or gangster music to usher in that type of music into the mainstream to begin to start changing the frequency. Okay. All right. So I really, really enjoyed this conversation with you, Esoteric Truth, but I don't want to be on here all night because I gotta get with
Me too.
Princess. Me too. And I just wanted you to come on here and share your thoughts and anything and everything. I really appreciate you for coming on board to share. And we're definitely going to come back on here, and we're going to have some definitely some more things to drop as time progresses. But one thing I also want to add to this as well. What also was made very clear to me with this battle and the way everything was going down was a great split between 3D and 5D and the permanence of it was very finite for me in terms of how I was seeing it and how I was viewing it. What I witnessed literally was the great split taking place amongst the masses. And a lot of you went in a whole different direction and don't even realize you went into a whole different direction, especially if you weren't actively healing. I want to say this one thing to you all before I get off this call. There's still time, but that gap has widened. If you are not healing in your heart space and you're not coming into the understanding of unity consciousness, unity, meaning that no one is better than the other. We don't push division. We don't divide because of a person's skin color. We don't cause division on any level. We come together as one. We come under the law of one. If you are having the mindset or you're feeling justified to have the mindset to continue the division programming, just be clear you have made your decision to be on the other side of that split. And basically what that means for you all is that you're going right back into that matrix. And it's going to take a lot harder. It's going to be a lot harder for a lot of you to come out of that. So I suggest that you guys take the time out and think about where you're at in your healing space. Are you choosing to actively heal? Is this what you're choosing for yourself? Because you all got free will. But it's just the times that we're living in, people are getting capped off. So I want you guys to understand that while we're listening to the music and we're having a good time and things like that, there is a such thing called balance. Balance yourself out. Know how far to go and how far to take it. Make sure you're actively healing. Make sure you're not promoting the things that you know can send you down that other path. Because pretty soon there won't be no coming back from that other side. You're going to be exactly where you're going to be at. And some of you have already been capped off. So I just want to say that to you for you to really take some time out to think about where you really are. I would say J. Cole is probably the biggest winner out of the whole situation because J. Cole got himself out of it and didn't get himself caught up in it. So if you ask me, the winner is J. Cole. That's who won the battle. Because it's a spiritual battle. That's a spiritual battle. If you really take the time out, it isn't about the person that had the nice skill set that went against the person and these back and forth. It was the guy that was smart enough to recognize, he probably recognized something bigger going on and said, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Before I get myself caught up in this matrix, let me back it on up. Because what is this doing to my frequency? Where do I stand? I stand with self. I stand with me. I stand with my own salvation. I stand with my own shit. I don't need to be getting caught up in this. So I commend J. Cole for taking the time out to take a step back, see it for what it was, and skate it. He was the winner of the rap battle. I might even put that up on my Instagram. And the winner of the actual greatest rap war was J. Cole. It's gonna piss a lot of people off, but you know I'm contrary to everything anyway. Y'all know how I go.
I just wanted to add on to what you said about the split. So he was like, "Well, what is a split? Like when you decide to be on a certain path, like literally 3D, you're literally choosing to operate in a finite system that eventually implodes on itself. You're choosing not to elevate, meaning you're choosing not to expand yourself to regain access to those parts of yourself that is not in a limited system, in a finite system. The reason why the split is taking place is because people are taking two sides. People are taking themselves, their higher selves, and then they're taking this other artificial ass frequency. Now, that's fine if that's what you want as your experience, but just let you know you're taking yourself away from your natural state of being. And it's like now I want to be 3D so bad that you disconnect yourself from the one thing that connects you to everything because you want to operate in a finite system. That's where the split comes in because people don't want to go back to themselves. They want to go into metaverse, which is basically the artificial astral realms that they created for niggas to be a part of their psyche.
I'd also like to respond back to a gentleman that said that J. Cole got a phone call and was told to bow out. Actually, that's not what happened. What happened was J. Cole had a conversation with Ab Soul. And Chuck Creekmore from allhiphop.com had put that up in his stories where he did an interview with Ab Soul. And Ab Soul was talking to him about, why this wouldn't be wise for him to get involved in that. Okay? That's actually what happened. So I want to bring corrections so people don't make assumptions of things that wasn't really what it was. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out. You are now listening.
Hold on.
What?
May I? Can I show him the grid real quick? It's like a real quick flip around or no?
No. This is.
Oh damn.
Yeah, this is an interview. Next time.
Okay. All right.
All right, y'all. We out.
Much gratitude.
Peace.
Peace.